Good morning, guys. This is Will from Yugen Bliss, The Road to Happiness. Um, just doing my regular routine, guys. You know what I'm gonna do. I'm staying consistent, and I'm doing my morning walk. And along with my morning walk, I'm gonna do a walk and talk. It's something new that I wanted to do, and like I said before in past videos, I want to change things up in my videos and my channel. I don't want to be boring, and I figured. What better thing to do but to have you involved in my walk and be involved in this walking talk, and maybe in the comment section get more involved in the walk and talk. I would love to hear from you. I'd like to hear your thoughts and your opinions about life and how life is happening with you and how you're dealing with life. So with that being said, this walking talk, I guess, is going to be all about I don't know, guys. It's so hard. There's so many things to talk about. And I don't enjoy talking about current events because, I mean, let's face it, guys. How many of the current events are really true? So I really don't want to talk about that. So let's talk about stuff that's more like interpersonal stuff. Like, I don't mind telling little stories about myself. So here's another story I guess I could tell about myself. How's that? I can do that. I'll tell you a story. Let's tell you a story about how my wife and I met. How's that? That's a good one. That's a really good one. Okay, so you all know that I was a foster kid, and I lived in foster homes. I had a really good foster home that I stayed in I was 10. So I lived there for 9 years of my life, which isn't really a whole lot if you actually think about it, right? But they were the most important years of my life, if that makes any sense. I needed the guidance the most. I think that's why it happened the way it did. So anyway, one thing that I really enjoyed doing as a child was basketball, and there was a lot of reasoning behind why I enjoyed playing basketball, because basketball was one of those sports that, yeah, it was a team sport, but it was one of those sports that you could practice it no matter what, and you could also practice it without having a hoop. Okay, as long as you had a round ball, a basketball, you could play basketball. And people go, oh, what do you mean you can play basketball? Well, guess what? Basketball's not all about putting the ball in the hoop. That's a part of it. It's a big part of it, but it's not the whole part of it, guys. See where I'm getting with this? See, basketball with me was therapy, because I could take that ball and I would dribble it, and I would dribble and dribble and dribble and dribble and dribble, and for hours and hours I would dribble that basketball. And another thing that I would do was I would spin it off my fingers like I'm shooting it into a hoop if I didn't have a hoop around. These are the things that I was doing. And I lived out in the country too, so it wasn't like I had like a pavement to be dribbling on. I was dribbling on dirt most of the time. And if I did have hoops, I would dribble to the basketball courts and I'd dribble back home. And these are just things that I did. And now looking back at it as being coaching days, those were called ball handling skills, guys. I was doing them without being told. I didn't know coaches telling me, hey, yeah, go grab a basketball and just start dribbling it. No, I just did it because it was something for me. It was my way of my therapy. It was my therapy. It was my way of getting away from the reality that was actually being played out at the time for me. And I didn't allow basketball to bring me success, guys. And it probably should have. As much time as I put into it, but I gave it up because you know what? It wasn't what made me happy. It was my therapy. Does that make sense? It wasn't my love. It wasn't the thing that just, how does this make sense? Okay, I enjoyed playing basketball. It was great. It was fun. But when it became a team sport, okay? And I don't mean this in a bad way. Once it became a job kind of thing with me, it was no longer fun. It was just therapy. Does that make sense? I guess that's the only way I can explain it. That makes sense to me anyway. So it wasn't. So I gave it up. You know what I mean? I don't want to really like toot my horn, but I could have been really good, and I probably could have gone a long way with it. I probably could have. But there was something more important in my life that I knew years down the road, that at the point, I didn't understand this in the beginning, guys, but it makes sense to me now. Okay, so you'll never guess where I met my wife in a basketball gym, okay? I met her in a gym, and I was one of those guys, I had, like I told you, I had part-time jobs, and I worked and stuff, and I used to go blueberrying in the summer times. Used to do a lot of odd jobs, mowing lawns and stuff. We earned our own money to buy certain things that we really wanted. And one of those things was I had to have Air Jordans. I had to have them. And I was not going to go without Air Jordans during my basketball seasons and anytime I played basketball. You can ask anybody that knows me. I was a straight up Air Jordan dude. And I loved Jordan. I idolized Jordan and everything, okay? So I would raise money all summer long so I could buy my Air Jordans. And not just one pair of Air Jordans. I had to get a colored away and a colored home pair of Air Jordans. So I had 2 pairs of Jordans. And for my basketball seasons. So to make a long story short, I just got out of practice. I was at the high school and the rec center was down across the field. My brothers had basketball practice at the rec center. So I walked over after I got out of practice and waited and watched my brother's games. Well, my future wife, Joanne, her brother was on the opposite team that my brothers were playing. So she ended up being there. So me, because I was such an outgoing person, I went up and sat beside her. Excuse me. Excuse me again. And we started talking. I mean, I kind of knew her before this. I mean, I was in 7th grade, she was in 8th grade. And over where we live, you only go 7th and 8th grade, then you go on to high school. So I knew her, and then my 8th grade year, this was like my 8th grade, no, this was my freshman year. It was my freshman year, yeah. The winter year, basketball season. So, yeah, so she was a sophomore and I was a freshman. So I had my gym bag and everything, and she's like, you know, what sneakers do you wear? And I'm like, I wear Air Jordan. She's like, wow, can I check your shoes out? So I let her check my shoes out. And it's funny because she always gets picked on to this very day because her parents were there too and stuff. And this is really funny. But everybody thought that she was sniffing my gym shoes, which she never was. She just wanted to see what my Air Jordans looked like. So I showed her my Air Jordans. And then that's history, guys. I mean, that's 26 years ago. And we're still together. And we're coming up on my wife and I's 21st wedding anniversary, which is going to be on July 1st. To me, that's a very special feat, because being married for 21 years, good morning, for 21 years to the same woman, it's even been more than 21 years, it's actually been 26. I count the years that we've been together. So we've been together since 1994. Well, 93, winter of 93, I guess, and then New Year 94, I guess, yeah. So yeah, it's been 26 years. And it's amazing because everybody's like, how can you remember all these dates and all your family members? Well, if your family's the most important thing to you in your life, you're not going to forget birthdays, dates, or anything. And guess what? Me, I know every one of my kids' birthdays. I know my grandchildren's birthdays, and I know all my wife's immediate family's birthdays. It's just who I am, because to me that's important to me. So I'm going to remember those things. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. That's the great walk and talk this morning. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I did, and I am glad that I could share another personal thing about me. See you guys later. Sending love and light. Yugen Bliss, the road to happiness. Love more, hate less. Love wins. Thank you.